Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Veroosh, and we are here to talk about some prevailing energies in October. I know we're coming up on a full moon, but there's something else to talk about that I think is really helpful. Furthermore, this full moon has a lot of intense energy on it in a square to Chiron. We've been talking about that in our last session. And I have good news for you, so I thought I would break up the monotony of negativity, squares, and oppositions and bring you some light and bright messages today. Well, we'll see if they're light and bright, but I'm excited to tell you about it. Essentially, there are some very fortunate aspects over us at the same time as there are those harsh transits. So there are two story arcs in October. One that's really choppy with that square. We just finished it yesterday to Mars and a square to the Sun. But at the same time, other inner planets are forming very positive energies, and they're in water signs. So you guys know what that means. That means emotional energy will be high and positive and light and bright, as they say. And this is a good heads up for the month ahead, essentially the next 3 weeks, because we'll be in some way with this energy this entire time. And that will help you to improve your relationships, improve circumstances, and just look, the star even came up for us in our first kind of look at the cards. So over the next 3 weeks, how it balances out this full moon that's coming up in Aries is, yes, Chiron, which is the wounded healer. If you haven't heard about it, I'll tell you a little now. Yes, it's impacted, and yes, it's making people vulnerable. But at the same time, there's very beautiful, benefic energy of trine, sextiles, all the good stuff happening at the same time. So let's talk about it. Let's get ready. Just as a little foreshadow, this is a video that will be public for everyone unless something goes terribly wrong. I hope not. So leave likes and comments if you guys feel inclined to. But it is a public video. I'm a little nervous explaining this to you guys. I've sat with it for a few days because it's quite complicated. So if for whatever reason it runs long or gets too obtuse or intense, then I will record this as a deep dive. If it becomes a deep dive, we'll save it as a deep dive for members, and then I will film an all sign right after. So come join us. I don't think we'll have time for an all sign after, but we'll do an all sign. Well, let's just hope that I can get through this information quickly and efficiently. I'm going to give you guys a lot of dates today. So if you, for whatever reason, want more information, like on a date, or I went over something too fast, then just leave me a message once the video is posted. Okay? So my goal is to tell you about these aspects, and then we will go into an all sign to kind of make it relevant for your sun, moon, and rising. And do watch for your sun, moon, rising, or wherever you have a lot, especially if wherever you have Venus and Mars, focus on that area. So watch the section that's talking about that. Okay, so essentially October is under a lot of trines. So we got this, which is like a positive aspect between different planets. Usually it happens, not always, but usually it happens when transits are in the same elemental dignity. Elemental dignity is the same element, right? So in this case, we have a lot of transits in water, Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer. And so transits that are in that area of the sky are interacting with one another and creating a really big flow of energy. So this is a really positive thing. It affects intuition, emotions, our EQ, emotional quotient, as opposed to intellectual stuff. Lean into your intuition through October. And with those squares on Chiron, we're being challenged. We'll talk about that separately because there's no way I can talk about both at the same time. But they are going to attack your confidence or self-esteem in some way, the transits, right? And so through that whole experience, I feel like there's an elevating energy. And that elevating energy is this water energy interacting with each other. The Cancer, the Scorpio, and the Pisces. And it's very healing, very understanding. People around you will be like understanding you more and being more compassionate. And if you try, I'm encouraging you to try, you may find headway into things that you feel vulnerable about. You'll notice in the chart that I took Chiron off. This is just so I don't get distracted and that we can see very clearly what we're talking about. But yeah, Chiron is kind of a squaring Mars, although they're separating now. So Chiron is that place where we are kind of the pinprick. This is where the full moon is happening. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But so what's happening specifically now, this big grand trine, is a grand water trine between Venus, Neptune, and today the moon. The moon's now in Aries already, but earlier today the moon, and Mars. And it's kind of like a counterweight to all of the intense energy, the harsh, unyielding, critical energy. Is very, very helpful and kind. This is a very rare grand trine. The last time it happened was 1803. On Threads, I said 1801. That's a typo. The last time it perfected was 1803. So what were you doing in 1803? How was life? It also happened in 1960, I believe, but that wasn't a grand trine. That was just like a strong trine between those aspects. And in 1849. But again, it wasn't so precise as it is now. So it's been a while since these three planets aligned in this way. And so it's just a signal that it's going to be very healthy, very kind, and special in that way. So the grand water trine typically increases depth and sensitivity, like we said, improvement to relationships. So take a chance to reach out to others. Sometimes I've noticed, because a lot of you guys interact with me on Instagram, and so I've noticed this pattern, and I'm not calling anybody out, but a lot of people are coming to me and it seems as though you've been beat up emotionally. And I don't know some of the people that are messaging me, they're commenting for the first time, and they're talking to me as if they're apologizing that they're even asking a question, not of me. My impression is that they've been like rejected a lot of times by their lives, and they are kind of like they're taking a shot at asking me, you know? And that's the impression I've had several times with talking with people, that people have been very isolated, left alone, and kind of like no one cares about them. I get that feeling. And so this water energy really helps with that. So if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling isolated, try to reach out under this water trine. The water trine isn't perfect. We'll go through it today and like the timing of things. Right now it's really strong because Venus is finishing up her transit in Scorpio. But then she's going to enter into Sagittarius in a couple days. And then the trine's going to kind of break apart. It's going to go out of sign. Out of sign means that it's usually like in traditional astrology, they prefer that transits all exist in the same sign. So for a grand water trine, everything has to be in a water sign. But more modern astrologers accept that sometimes a trine still exists, even though it's out of sign. This brings me to another point. It's a bit of a tangent, but I want to talk about the water trine, but I want to acknowledge that another trine is happening. and that is grand earth air trine. And so this example of out of sign applies to this second trine. And the second trine is between Pluto, Uranus, and the south node, which is in Libra. And so there's a second grand trine happening. And I think somebody came up to me and said, hey, is this the Star of David? And in certain types of astrology, it would be no. But because like the south node is not in Virgo, it's in Libra. However, I do consider out of sign trines. I do think that once Venus enters Sagittarius, it may not be all in water, but it's still affecting and interacting with Mars and Neptune. To be frank, it's a little bit far for Mars at that point, but you get my point. So we get actually 2 grand trines right now. One we're not talking about today, and that's the south node, Uranus and Pluto. We will talk about Pluto and Uranus a lot, so just keep that in the back of your mind. But for our purpose, this healing energy is with us until the end of October. When Venus enters Sagittarius next couple days, it will lessen in its strength, but then Mercury starts making its way up in Scorpio and creating an echo to that original transit. And it's really beautiful because this grand water trine is within a larger sequence of energy that we're going to talk about today. So the grand water trine is just the foundation for much more elaborate and special alignments that we're going to talk about. So our foundation is this emotional depth, care and nurture, strong desire for intimacy, creativity. I love Mars in Cancer. People don't like Mars in Cancer. I think it's like the most creative transit. I think it's beautiful. And so it's just a beautiful grand water trine, and I want to encourage you to, test the waters out there. Even though Chiron is in a square to Mars, opposition to Sun, full moon, T-square, give it a shot and test out your environment. It almost feels as though we're in an energy in which we're vulnerable, and I made a post about that, and on Instagram, in which we're vulnerable. But if we test our environment, we can have a really beautiful experience. So it's almost like you meet someone as a friend, let's just say as a friend, and you want to say hi to them, but it's kind of nerve-wracking to ask them, like, hey, you want to hang out? Like platonic friend, whatever. And it's kind of that nervous, kind of like, will they accept me or will they want to do it? It's, we all go through these things. And so this energy seems of a similar nature to something like that, where you might be feeling vulnerable or unsure of the possibility, but if you just take a chance, it might be a really wholesome, beautiful, emotionally deep energy. So I really like the grand water trine, and it already started. We'll go through the dates now, but yeah. So we kind of talked about it at a high level. And so it's mysticism, creativity, love, relationships, emotional understanding, expressiveness. I love the fact that it's also Mars, Venus, and Neptune. Neptune is the higher vibrational expression of love. It has a lot more to do with love for humankind, whereas Venus is a more interpersonal love. And so Mars trining both, it's almost like bringing your love and desires into reality, who you want to be. And, we all want friends. We all want love. We all want good for the world. The problem happens in our expression of that, where different people have different visions of what that good is, and they become conflicts of interest. So outside of the politics of that, right, when I see Venus trining Neptune and then both of them trining Mars is like the active action principle in relation to Venus and Neptune. And it's just like going after love, going after what you want, awakening the heart, opening the heart, trusting the energy. And because it's lasting essentially so long, it's it's going to go longer than October. I'm just cutting it off at October for the purpose of this video. Once we consider it entering into like Mars retrograde, the fire signs, it keeps going for a while. It's a very stable energy. So because it's so stable, it's like, I wonder what beautiful things may come. So I know we've been talking a lot about like difficult things, and definitely since the year 2020, it's been a bit of a rocky start. So I think that it's nice to celebrate something beautiful, and hopefully that's inspiring to you. So let's go into like each aspect of the Grand Trine to set up this foundation, and then we'll go into the other transits that are based on it. Okay. So Venus and Mars formed a trine on October 8th, right? They're separating now, but because they don't travel at the same rate, but close enough. Like it's not, their orbit isn't like years difference, like maybe Jupiter and Saturn. Saturn's orbit is 3 times as long as Jupiter's. So, but Mars's orbit is like 18 months and Venus's orbit is like 10 months. So yeah, and so maybe I'm kind of being hyperbolic here, but the trine between Mars and Venus is kind of still continuing to, that's all I'm trying to say. And so the relationship between Mars and Venus that was established on October 8th is talking about emotional intensity in relationships. Mars and Venus are like I don't like using like gendered stereotypes because they're really bad, but like Mars is the active principle in Cancer, right? And Venus is the receiving principle of love in Scorpio. And it's a really beautiful trine that we've had for like a couple weeks already. And so it continues as the foundation. It fosters relationships, especially in interpersonal dynamics, because they're the like relationship, they're the personal planets, right? They revolve around issues that we have with each other. This trine, because it's in water signs. See, Mars in Cancer gets soft, right? And Venus in Scorpio gets more assertive. So they come, it's kind of like a nice energy together. This allows for sensitivity towards other people's feelings. Mars in Cancer, the sign of the home, the 4th house, has a lot to do with issues of family. So we're talking about like improving relationships with family members and balancing of relationships. Then we get Venus trine Neptune, which is happening tomorrow, actually. So Venus is applying Neptune and will trine tomorrow perfectly. So we already mentioned this, but Venus is like the lower octave of love, whereas Neptune is the higher octave. And so with Venus, what we have is like our personal experiences of love with each other, one-on-one, you know. And Neptune, we have this like ambiguous, worldly, reach out to the world, your love for humankind, your love for higher principles. It is that beautiful, where's my kunzite? Kunzite crystal, I don't have it out. So Venus, here's a little Venus rose quartz. And then kunzite, which is another crystal, you guys can look it up, I don't have mine out, is like the higher octave of love. And so they're forming a trine together. So there's a sequence to this grand trine. And I have to acknowledge that the groundwater trine is a little loose, but because of like it encompasses all of October, it's kind of nice. So Venus trines Neptune tomorrow, and it's applying that trine now. And so that connection between how you are with people in your everyday life, and that connects to your higher principles of love and creativity in Neptune. So you're really in alignment here. We all are, with like what we truly want to see in the world through our expression of love and desire. So it's, you know, it's really, and if you're an artist, this is a beautiful trine for creativity. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. I've talked about this many times. One of the most poetic things about astrology that touches me personally is that through my life and many of yours, all these outer planets were in the home signs. I don't think I can stress how rare this is. And so Neptune's transit of the last degrees of Pisces is the last phase of that. So we had Pluto in the 80s in Scorpio that it rules. Uranus was in the early 2000s in Aquarius. And now Neptune was in Pisces. It's just a beautiful symmetry that we got to live through. And so this is the last phase of that. The last degrees of Pisces are extremely creative. It's not just the anaretic degree. It's a real important area of the sky. So for its ruler to be in those last degrees, it's very special. And for you, what this means is that you've reached some pinnacle of expression. Well, you can see how, I know some people don't say AI is art, and I understand the criticisms of it. But what AI does is it can generate illustrations very, very quickly, right? So like much quicker than painting it, much quicker than anything else. And so during this last transit of Neptune and Pisces, we see this frantic production line of beautiful images, because maybe you don't agree with it on principle. However, you have to agree that they're beautiful, right? Whether they're ethical or not. And so Neptune in the last degrees of Pisces is happening. We have art everywhere. Kind of, I don't know if somebody said, I don't like art on Instagram. And I was like, excuse me? Instagram is the place to be for art right now, just so you guys are clear on that. On TikTok, art gets suppressed, and you see more aggravating politics than actual art. My FYP, I love the display on Instagram. I open it and it shows me just a page of art, and I can click in where I want to. I like the self-determinism of it more than a feed of videos I don't get to choose. So right away, every day when I log into Instagram, I see that activation, and it's beautiful. So in my opinion, I know artists on Instagram aren't getting treated perfect because people are saying that, but overall, I think it's this like space for art. They've really honed and supported artists and crafters, musicians. So I don't know what they're doing, these people that don't like it, but compared to the other platforms, I think Instagram has made itself the space, at least right now, for art. And it has its drawbacks, but we're just talking about Neptune and Pisces, how art has flourished and how art has sort of become so nebulous. And so this trine between Venus and Neptune, it connects art, it connects beauty, it connects compassion, love, and all these principles. And it's coming into a trine right now. It also opens the heart. So, you know, a lot of people have been going through difficult things around the world. If you haven't been going through difficult things, it's likely that you belong to a culture that has. There's just so many wars right now and so much conflict around the world. So this is also a healing energy. So when I'm doing astrology with the current state of the world, I'm looking for these beautiful transits. So very nice. And then towards the end of the month, because Mars is, so this grand water trine is a little loose, but as Mars moves into Cancer a bit more, then it's going to perfect, and that's when Mercury will step into where Venus is now, around October 28th. And that's when Mars will apply a trine to Neptune. And to me, this is so active. To me, this is like through the whole month, we get in touch with our weaknesses through Chiron. We get a little hurt. And then that prompts us, we're in the perfect environment to heal that. We're in the perfect environment to kind of like say, hey, what am I going to do to have the experience I want and the experience I want to give to others? And when Mars starts to trine Neptune on October 28th, we'll talk about that all in a minute. It gives that action, right, into this trine. So it's kind of like a domino effect a little bit here. So we had the Mars to Venus, Venus to Neptune, Neptune to Mars, but it's really activating like a domino effect in this energy. It's beautiful. So beyond this, there's aspect patterns. Aspect patterns are more complicated configurations of planets that happen at the same time. And so the grand trine is powerful because it connects the elemental dignities together, but off of it, oftentimes other things form. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I had to kind of get over the foundation beginning. And so now I got to give you guys a heads up. I'm going to go through this quite fast. If I go over something too quickly, then let me know in the comments. I can put it on Instagram, and I'm going to give you dates. So if you want dates, write them down. And if I go over dates too quickly, or if you're really curious about a date, then please let me know. And then maybe I can put it on Instagram or Threads or something. So, okay. So we have this really beautiful grand trine, and off of it, there's other aspect patterns that are forming. And the main one happened yesterday to today because it's kind of like in between. Yesterday, Venus formed an opposition to Pluto in Taurus. And so this created a kite, whether it was pointing at Venus or pointing at Uranus. That's subject for debate. I'll explain both iterations in a minute. And then tomorrow, Venus perfects her trine to Neptune. So it's kind of like an in-between liminal place for Venus right now. So we are under the kite between the opposition of Uranus and Venus, okay? And so that's evolving. And one thing to say about Venus, and I'll talk about this somewhere else, one of the reasons why the energy here is so positive is because Venus is having a series of very fluid and very kind aspects onto her. So yes, Chiron is getting battered and tattered. We're not getting what we want and we feel insecure about it. But Venus has these beautiful supporting aspects to the outer planets. And so the opposition to Uranus would be a tense aspect if it wasn't for the grand water trine. And so that actually transmutes it into like a productive energy. Another main aspect that Venus is forming is a sextile to Pluto. That's going to happen on the day of the full moon, right before she enters Sag. And then if we move forward into October 22nd, Venus will actually form a trine to the North Node in Aries. So it's kind of like an arc of bringing your desires forward and making them happen. The environment is very conducive to stepping in your path, following it, and achieving a desired outcome. So one of the reasons why October has this air of beauty, love, compassion is that there are very positive aspects onto Venus. Just to summarize them, I'm not going to give you dates now, I'll give them to you later, but there's a trine onto Neptune. There's this opposition on Uranus, but it's within the kite, so it makes it better. There's a sextile onto Pluto. Then it enters Sagittarius. It forms a bit of a harsh angle to Jupiter, but we'll talk about that separately. And then we already talked about it, about the Jupiter retrograde video, so you can watch that video if you're curious about that. And then it will form this beautiful trine to the North Node by the end of the month, around the same time as Mercury moves up into Scorpio. So very harmonious time for Venus. This is really like harmony, like trines and sextiles, everything that we want. And then Mercury is going to be echoing that. We won't talk about Mercury. We'll talk about it some other time, but it's all like very harmonious. And so the Venus opposition Uranus is creating a situation in which this really squishy love energy between Mars and Venus and Neptune, the moon today, is challenging, is creating an environment in which Uranus can come in at opposition and challenge the status quo. Because with Neptune, what happens is that there could be some dysfunction, there could be limerence, there could be illusions and delusions and all sorts of things in love that are creating confusion for people. And in this aspect, it's saying, okay, well, what do you want in love, right? What kind of things do you want? And Uranus forms this like, let's think about it a little, let's reframe it a little bit. Let's change it a little bit. Let's think about it a different way to have a different outcome. And so you have this light bulb moment and you're like, aha. And it's not just you, people around you are experiencing this as well. So what you're going to see is more forthcoming energy from others. People will chill out if they're inappropriate. And if you want someone to kind of go your own way in terms of love, or friendship, or even in business matters, if you want to persuade your boss for like a raise, but maybe economy's bad and he's been resistant, well, Uranus might, in Taurus, think of a different way for you to justify making more money in this market. So it's very nice. So the kite can be interpreted really in two ways. Traditionally, people focus on Uranus. Whenever I've read the kite, I've always read it the other way around, because to me it looks like the minor grand trine sextile between Mars, Neptune, and Uranus is the foundation, and from that Venus gets expressed. So it's that through transformation, right? So let's talk about it the way that I see it. Neptune, Mars, and Uranus, through transformation of things that are confusing or ambiguous that you can't put your finger on, there's suddenly something solid, which is Uranus in the midpoint in Taurus, giving us productivity towards achieve something that we desire. Beautiful energy. But then the traditional way to interpret that is to focus on Uranus. So the foundation of the grand water trine leading to disruptions and changes, transformation is possible. So it's ends up being very similar, but for me it's always about the tip over here, and I see this as the back end. I see this as the foundation. It's almost like a pyramid for me. So I see like this would be like the foundation of the pyramid, and the pyramid builds up, but some people interpret it the other way around. So for me it's more about the expression of Venus, of having like a different experience in love through making fundamental changes to something that was of a limited view before. Okay, so that's the Venus kite. There's a second kite we're about to talk about, but the thing that's linking the first kite with Venus and the second kite, it's not a Mercury kite. That's going to happen on the 28th of October. That's another echo. It's an expression of what's happening now. There's another kite involving a different transit. Oh, it is the Mercury kite. What am I talking about? I'm too in the zone. But there is a transit that is linking the kites together. So I told you that there's like a story arc between the astrology now and the astrology at the end of October. And that's something very special. It's called a mystic rectangle. And this configuration is rare. I didn't even check. I was wanting to do this before it gets dark. But it's a very rare aspect because Uranus and Pluto rarely form this trine, and in these signs it's probably like once in a lifetime, once in a humanity's lifetime. I'll look it up and post it on Threads for you guys, because that actually I like finding that stuff. I find it, I'm a nerd. I love deep diving on that. So basically the mystic rectangle is an aspect pattern in which we have two trines. So Pluto to Uranus is a trine, and Venus to Mars is a trine. And we have two sextiles, so Mars to Uranus and Venus to Pluto. And this is considered a very stable energy. It's an energy in which the energy of water, in this case, balances out the energy of Earth. And so it transmutes or transforms the things that are around us to produce a different outcome. It's especially good with things that you have been stuck in, so redundancies you can't get past, and like long-standing things like blockages that you haven't been able to get through. This mystic rectangle helps with that. So again, I made a note for Venus and Mars creating the trine on the 8th. Oh, right. And so I'll double back. And so the mystic rectangle connects the Venus kite to a later kite that we're going to have at the end of October with Mercury. As Mars moves up into Cancer, that second kite is going to be more precise. When Mercury moves up into Scorpio, it will form a grand trine, just like we talked about with Venus. And so that's going to echo the energy and just carry us over right into November. So very, very nice energy. So yes, the energy is rough right now. Lots of people getting hurt. Lots of people getting hurt emotions. But there's a real like nice flow of positive affect, feelings happening at the same time. So there's like a harmony here between our actions. I'm just reading my notes. Now, the trine between Pluto and Uranus is really unique. It's a part of that minor grand trine sextile with Neptune that's going to switch the planets over into air and fire. But this is the kind of end as Pluto finishes its transit in Capricorn, right? And so this trine is like breaking patterns. It's all about like the 29th anaretic degree where Pluto is very cathartic. So it's like we've been playing power games. We've been dealing with systems of power, but it's, you know, it's nature. So it's also benefic. It's also helpful. People always script it as something negative. But at this point, it's almost like you figure it out what doesn't work. Like many people have woken to the fact that like money and just chasing money is not the end goal. And so there's like deeper values that are important. And let's stick to the earth element in Taurus. Many people, it's not even like the material is still important, but many people have shifted to like foods, like whole foods. And the emphasis isn't on money, but maybe on growing great tomatoes. My parents just grew some tomatoes over the summer. They always do. And I have 2 left. They're on my counter and they're delicious. And I was reflecting on the fact that it's October 15th and I still have 2 tomatoes left, you know, and I was thinking of like how much of a blessing it is that we've carried over this summer fruit or like early autumn fruit into such a late date, you know, and they're perfectly fine, ready to eat. And like they've just, so it's like, it's the blessing of the material. Money hijacks our enjoyment of the physical world, right? And it de-emphasizes other aspects of the physical world and emphasizes like just money, which is kind of like a hollow thing to cherish. I know it gets you things. I'm not like anti-money, but just bear with my little analogy here. But when you look at something like a tomato and it has like such sweetness and such value, enjoyment, it's like that's the physical world, right? The tomato. So it's kind of the Pluto. I got to hurry up with my metaphors or we'll never get there. Pluto and Uranus form this trine, and Uranus is kind of like working with Pluto here into this awareness of what materially really matters. So maybe it's not just cash or hollow change. Maybe it's a tomato, right? So yeah. So the mystic rectangle works in alignment between the water energies of Mars and Venus and Pluto and Uranus to kind of shift us and to align our lives. It's very rare. You're never going to see it in your lifetime again. So enjoy it. It's like a shift in the emotional and physical space. I did do dates for this, so let's quickly go through them. Some of the dates, I kind of like focused on Pluto and Uranus. Did I do Venus dates for you guys? Shoot, I didn't write it down properly. I'll post it somewhere. I had dates for Venus as well, but I didn't write it correctly. Okay, so let's talk about the mystic rectangle, some key dates that interact with this. One of the key dates that happened recently, and I noticed that when I go back to the 80s and stuff, people get lost. So I'm going to pick dates that are like more close for you guys. So everybody's kind of in on the action. Okay. So Pluto and the Sun joined together at exactly these degrees on January 20th this year. So you can look back right now to January 20th and ask yourself what was important then. The other major aspect is tomorrow's sextile between Venus and Pluto. Venus and Pluto have an interesting relationship, and it's kind of like an awareness point of what you want in love and power dynamics within relationships, whatever they may be. We get a new moon in this position in a couple years in 2026. And we had a full moon here on July 21st this year. So you can look back on those dates or look forward to 2026 for themes involving Pluto power emerging. Some of you may carry Pluto and Capricorn energy forward, like material things like working out finances, whatever. So you can look to that new moon in 2026 date for greater clarity. For Uranus, so this is like challenging the mold. And when we're looking at Uranus here, it's not just the mystic rectangle we're considering, we're also considering the kite. So whatever's happening for you with each of these aspects, these dates may interact with it in some way. There was right at these degrees, there was a conjunction of the moon and the north node 2 different times, in July 2003 and March 2022. So that was a time when issues to do with Uranus and Taurus may have come up for you, and a awareness of something of value may have arisen that's actually playing out now. So is there an event on those dates, 2003 or 2022, that connects with now for you in some way? In 2023, on May 19th, we had a new moon here also. And we have a full moon in a month on November 15th. It will be conjunct Uranus. So we'll talk about this. We'll bring it back. We'll talk about this in greater detail, just in case it's not clear. On July 15th this year, we had the Uranus-Mars conjunction here. So that was a big one. Things may be happening with regard to that conjunction now, and especially since Uranus and Mars are in their opening sextile, which is like the first aspect since they had that conjunction in July. Sun joins Uranus here on exactly on this spot on May 25th next year. So Uranus has like this retrograde cycle that it's in the middle of right now. And so next year it will still be in Taurus in this position, and the sun will join it. So if you're dealing with Uranus things of disruption, change, transformation, challenge of the system you live in, expect those timelines of the dates, the new moons, full moons, conjunctions just to track it to see where it fits. So the mystic rectangle actually, it's not just the mystic rectangle. This is why I was worried. How many minutes have I been at this? 40. This is going to be long. Okay, we only have 2 more things to do. So, okay, so, but I hope you're into it. I'm super into it. I like the hope of this reading, and I like the hope of this energy. So I want to tell you guys everything. Okay, so maybe we'll just do an all sign for like good faith of it all. So don't give up on me yet. I'll giddy up. So there's a formation off of a mystic rectangle that can form sometimes, and it's called an envelope. So I first noticed the mystic rectangle, but then there's an envelope. So these energies stack a lot sometimes, and it's really beautiful when they do, and it's exciting. And so the envelope creates a point at the end of Pisces with Neptune and the moon earlier today that creates a minor grand trine sextile off of Uranus and Pluto that connects to the mystic rectangle. This is our intuition point. That's why I'm saying, like, trust your intuition through all this energy. It's really beautiful. There's a lot of psychic energy here, a lot of awareness. Some key dates for this. Next year on March 19th, 2026, we get a new moon in this position. So maybe your intuition, not next year, 2 years from now in 2026, you might experience some kind of arc. Maybe you can put it in your Google Calendar or whatever you use for timelines. You can write down the dates. We just had an eclipse here, remember, is September 18th, 2024. So maybe themes are evolving from that time. In February 23rd, oh, I like this. I like this transit. I remember like writing them down and like I look through them all and like I'm like, oh, I like this one. I don't like this one, you know, whatever. So on February 23rd, 2025, which is next year, the North Node and Neptune will join in this position. Ooh, that's going to be nice. I love North Node conjunctions. I just think that like it's so nice. So this will have an emergent effect of bringing things up, bringing things out. This could be things that you want to happen may actually emerge in February of next year. There's also a 5 series of eclipses, and I've talked about this during the eclipse reading for September, but I'll repeat that. There were 5 eclipses in this position: 1950, 1969, 1988, 2007, and 2015 in this position. And so this may be energetically tied to this. Of course, this is more tied to like mundane astrology, world astrology, these kinds of patterns. But I mean, if you were born in the 50s or 40s, you know, you may see a pattern in everything. Or maybe you were born in the 2000s and you're only catching 2 of them, right? But yeah, so there was 6 eclipses altogether if you count 2024. And there's going to be another eclipse in this position in like 2043. So there's like a long story arc with regard to this exact position with this envelope. So we have a grand trine, then we have a mystic rectangle, and then we have an envelope. And that's all supportive, good energy. And so the mystic rectangle, like I said, carries us over to when Mercury moves to the position where Venus is now. And this will finish up the month for us in the last week of October, October 28th. And so this is the more active. So what's happening with Venus is our heart's waking up. We're realizing what we want. We start working in those directions. When Mars comes in to aspect with Mercury, Mercury is not just communication. Mercury is also action and manifestation. So the energy that comes up now may transmute into tangible reality by the end of the month. It's a really good energy. So what I'm saying is there could be doubts that you're experiencing with a square to Chiron here. I would say work through those energies. Don't ignore them. Don't deflect them. But also don't let them shy you away from going after what you want to step into the energy that you desire. And so Mars also has, it's not just Venus that has harmonious energy throughout October. Mars has very harmonious energy throughout October. So just to quickly go over it, I'll post it I think I've posted parts of this already, but so we get a trine to, what did I say? Oh yeah, first there was a trine to Saturn, which isn't here right now. That happened at the end of September. That was a little while ago. Then we have that trine to Venus. Then we have a sextile to Uranus, just a series of sextiles and trines. And then a trine to Neptune. So these 2 planets, Venus and Mars, and then Mercury, they're all working in harmony. It's like a, how do I say this? Pluto's changing signs and everything's harmonious. And I think that that's such a wonderful omen at the time that Pluto is switching into this. So we have this like great harmony. It's like it's, you know, like playing a video game and you've like found success. So there's like some kind of positive outcome. Okay. What did I write? October. Now so Mars forms a kite as well. So there's a kite on Mars. So we saw that opposition between Uranus and Venus creating a kite. When Mercury is where Venus is, Mars will be opposite Pluto. And that's where we get some tension, which is November 3rd, 2024. You guys get an election 2 days after, so this is going to be interesting. But remember what I said about Uranus, that the grand water trine actually is supportive of the opposition. And so in this case, what I think is happening is like, again, awareness of the things that happen around us and a desire to make it right. So there's bravery here. There's intuitive action, like I want the world to be this way, so I'm going to be the change. It's about letting go of the past. I'm talking about the kite off of Pluto and Mars. It's all month you're sort of being awakened by Venus, by Mercury, by all these trines and sextiles, by this envelope onto Neptune. It's like your aha moment. Like if you have a meditation practice, if you have a practice in which you center consciousness or awareness, use this energy, okay? And so it's really important. One thing I didn't stress so much is the minor grand trine sextile of Pluto between Venus and Neptune. Overall, that's good. It's also about bringing desires into reality. The downside of that is, and this is just a little warning, with this energy, what can happen is if there's illusion or delusion with Neptune in love, such things as desiring something and trying to impose your will on another, Pluto may make some people want to act on that confusion, right? It could be you, it could be someone else. And with the Mars opposition, if you're in a situation where there's heavy confusion or heavy misinformation, disinformation, like people are not thinking clearly, this energy can motivate people to act very brash. So like things like psychosis, like convincing themselves or being convinced of something that's not there, this energy can make them act fast. You'll know if you're in this situation. For your own actions, the advice here is to make sure that you're on the positive side of this, that you're not trying to force anything and that you're just going with the flow of it all. Some dates for Mars. And I'm doing the dates for Mars for where it is now, not when it's going to be in the kite. What was interesting was, I forgot to mention, there was a cazimi in 2009 in May in the position where Uranus is now. And on July 14th, 2009, the same year, 2 months later, there was another cazimi, Mercury and Venus and the Sun, in the position where Mars is now. So there's a synchronicity between the sextile of Uranus and Mars. So what was going on for you in 2009 between May and July? There's going to be another cazimi in this position in 2026. So the Sun and Mercury coming together brings great enlightenment to issues. So it's almost, this energy could be the energy of like being presented with a giant platter of things. And how do I say this? It's, you know, those videos where they put a dog or a baby in front of cookies and they're like, don't touch it, and then they go away. This could be an energy like that, but with things like you really shouldn't touch for whatever reason. And so if you're in front of a plate of cookies that you shouldn't touch, and then don't touch it and don't play with people who have that energy about them towards you. So if somebody is like pushing for a certain, how do I say, response from you, then don't play with this energy, because they can make bad decisions and cause problems for everyone, right? Not even like who's, do you know what I mean? They can just create a mess. So you don't create a mess, they don't create a mess. This energy is connected to 2009 through Uranus and Mars. Where Mars is, we're going to get a full moon on January 12th, 2028. That's a full moon. And I think the South Node is going to be here as well. So that might be, I don't think it's an eclipse, but maybe it's an eclipse. So that will be there. In 2026, on July 14th, we get a new moon in this position. And, and between 2025, September 2025 and May, 2026, there is going to be a series of conjunctions, I think 3 of them, between, not 3, maybe more. There's going to be a series of conjunctions between the moon and Jupiter here. So whatever's going on in Cancer, like if your Cancer house is really activated now, there will be a lot of, I think it flows out a lot to the next couple years. So this was a long chat. Hi, everyone's watching. Okay, hello. So let's do the all sign. And I hope this was helpful. Yeah, it took 55 minutes. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, well, no, let's just go for it. I was going to say I'm going to, because I don't like these long, deep dives. But this was good. This is helpful energy. So make sure to comment and like if you like this. The reason for doing this video, I really believe like this is an energy that you want to be mindful of over the next month, because it's going to bring a lot of good into your life. So look for the good, look for the opportunities, and don't be like stuck on one type of love. Look for the opportunities in many different ways in your life. So, and tell me in the comments once I post the video if something wasn't clear. Okay, so I'm going to give you a message for every single sign. I'm going to get good at picking out, we're going to do Leo first, but I'm going to get really good at picking out like what's too long, and then we'll do deep dives on it. But for now, we'll just stick to what's going on. Okay, so I was excited because like Chiron, I was not enthusiastic about Chiron, to be honest. I'm like, I think I even left a tweet saying, I don't even want to discuss this. So this is a much nicer energy. Hi, Leo, meow, meow. Let's take a look at your energy. So you have one kite happening now onto Venus right here between Uranus. And the second kite is happening onto Mars. Okay. For you, it looks as though there is a family issue. And remember, the second kite is going to be motivated by Mercury that's moving up now. There's possible secrets in your family that are going to be emerging. Specifically, today can give you insight leading up to today. So if something happened last night from the 14th through the 15th in the morning, I think the moon left Pisces about midday Pacific time. So any time up to that, look for clues. I feel like there's clues about family members, people saying things hidden. Maybe somebody's like looking to do something, like they're aiming, like a family member has a secret plan. Doesn't have to be a bad thing, but there's like a secret, and it might emerge at this time, which will shift family dynamics. And you have your own plans with Uranus up here. You have your own plans, and so I just feel like make sure that it feels like, how do I say this, family issues can be distracting, and there may be things you're not aware of yet, but it's all with love, right? Like it's all good. It's just make sure that you're paying attention to what they're doing. Okay, so we have the Sun. I'll pick 3 cards for everybody. And I put the Art of Love Tarot, which is such a beautiful deck. And then we have the Fool, the New Beginning. That's Uranus, and Uranus is in the 10th house. I almost feel like there's competition in your life between something that family is doing or family is doing up to and what you're up to. Not like direct competition for time. Like your time will be needed at home, but yet at the same time you have your own desires here. The third card is the Knight of Pentacles. For those of you who are starting businesses, like hold your, or maybe it's different. Maybe you're the one who's starting a business. You're the one who's needing of time and resources and energy. And you're going to have to be mindful to fit in family time or family needs that might have been low up until now, and then suddenly you're more wanted or needed for some reason. So this looks very positive. I really strongly encourage you to begin your financial ambitions, the things that you want. Even if you're feeling insecure about them, which is that Chiron square, you might be feeling insecure about it. But that's going to really shift. And when Mars goes retrograde in December, it's going to be in Leo and go over into your 12th house, into Cancer. You're going to go through learning about that, right? And figuring out a solution. So go for it, Leo. Very good cards for making money and being successful now. So, but you know, you'll have to fit family things in. So it's saying basically a family matter might arise that will need your time and attention at a time when you need your time and attention. Okay, so Capricorn next, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's take a look at this information. Okay, so Cap, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Hello, Cap. How are you doing? So when we're looking at the first kite, we're looking at Venus here, Uranus here, so on the social axis, and then we have the second kite, which is Mars, Pluto, right in your first house. Okay, so it looks as though there is very good social factors at play here. I think that you have pivoted in terms of what you want or what you're asking of your friends and the things you want to do. And that pivot is really helping you align with more like-minded people. I think that's a pattern that's ongoing and that will continue. I do feel as though you're going to get tension or not oppression, but there is going to be someone who is close to you who will in some way stand in opposition to this emergent side of you. So let's say you have there's going to be someone who's going to be creating obstacles. Now this is for November, right? When Mars Pluto opposition happens. But it feels as though not everyone is so comfortable with your newfound joy celebration, and they are going to, and it's someone close to you. So, and you know, this is really true because when we find new aspects, it's people who are closest to us who are inconvenienced. People are creatures of habit, and when we do different things, they act up. So everybody reacts to change in different ways. I think that it's very benign. This isn't a bad energy. It's just you're pushing forward towards your desires, and that's going to move very fast right now. Achieving your desires, getting what you want, standing in your truth. Look at all this energy here. This is like standing in your truth, being really authentic. And so you're going towards things, new opportunities are opening up for you, and there's a sourpuss energy who's just like, and you're just going to have to figure out how you're going to manage them. It could be your partner, it could be your boss, someone who has a huge influence on you. It could be your best friend, someone like really close, okay? So we have the moon. So hidden feelings. And maybe it will take Mars retrograde into your 8th house to kind of work through things. Yeah, there's definitely tension from someone, but you don't. So that's the Chiron bit, right? The Chiron bit is sensitivity or vulnerability, or kind of like, how do I say this? You're so strong on your own, and Chiron is in your 4th house of family. So again, it's signaling someone very close to you. Could be your parents, could be your partner, and they're engaged in relationships with you that mirror that sensitivity. So you're confident, you're strong, you're claiming your truth, but within these relationships, there's a vulnerable side to you that they play upon. I don't think it's intentional. I don't think it's hateful. I think it's just convenient. So I think that this is remember I was saying like problems will come up or challenge will come up, but through this time, through this water energy, it's like your friends are strong. There's just too much good for you. There's too much good incentive. We have the 10 of stars, which is the 10 of pentacles. So it's almost like your group of friends supersedes that one sourpuss. Your husband or your wife cannot hold you back from mingling with so many wonderful people you've met. You're stepping over the negativity. So be strong, hold your course, seek that truth. Remember, whatever you're desiring to do right now is really in alignment with a core truth about you. Like something that, how do I say this? Something that you enjoyed since you were a child. Something that was like really reflective of who you truly are. Okay, so next sign. Hi Libra, let's take a look at your sign next. I hope you guys are enjoying today's session. I was so excited, so excited. I sat with this for a couple days, and at first I didn't see the envelope. And so it was like, I was like, I'm missing something. This is like, I wait for the transit to come together to like make sense sometimes, especially when it's complicated like this. And I sat with it and I sat with it. I was like, I see all the data, and I was getting frustrated. That was under the square. I was getting frustrated. I was like, crap. I didn't say crap. I said the other word. I was like, it's like, what is, and then I was like, you know, like the heavens opened and I was like, ah, it was a good vibe. Okay. So I was very happy to bring this to you. Sun, Moon, Rising, Libra. So for your energy, we're really looking at, this pair, Uranus in the 8th, Venus in your 2nd, and then later on into March, and we'll talk about that separate, which is Mars, Pluto in the 4th. I feel like you're prioritizing your wealth, Libra, which is Venus here. I think that there's like a pattern, you should be already feeling it, of really prioritizing your material wealth, material prosperity. It's like fighting for yourself. And I think that you're thinking externally in different ways, which is Uranus, about the people around you. It's not that you're cutting people out. It's more like you're seeing a different side to your dynamic. For people who are very loyal with their partners, with their family members, sometimes it's like rethinking the dynamic of that relationship. People have a really hard time letting go of shared resources together, right? Because they assume like there's this connection in their head between shared resources. We share our resources and we share our love. That's a expression of our love, that was shared resources. And sometimes what happens is, even in an innocent way, over long periods of time, those balances come out of synchronicity. And so one or two people may be getting financially disadvantaged by that dynamic. And it's not necessarily like intentional predatory stuff. It can be, and so here you might be looking at like what's actually happening in your partnership and your relationships and family with money, and really being like, I need to kind of like bring more in for myself, you know? Yeah. It could be something like getting your own bank account. I know this isn't really a thing anymore for most people, but for a long time, women were finding themselves into really bad situations when they were in a marriage and didn't have their own bank account. And when that marriage changed or something happened, there were people with no separate bank account. It was terrible circumstances. This really happened a lot to many women. And so there could be an energy here, and I suppose some men, but usually women. And so with this energy, it's kind of bringing in more focus onto your own resources. In November, though, leading up into this, you're going to ruffle some feathers. That's what I'm going to say about that. It's going to be a response to the last decade or so of lessons that you've had, and you're going to try to make something happen in your outside world, like change your job, change something about your life, and it's going to be a shock to other people, okay? but it's going to be motivated by love for yourself and taking care of yourself materially, and you're supposed to do it. And it has a lot to do with also like awareness about your relationships with others, which is the descendant. That's what I'm pointing to here. So you have to do it, Libra. You have to. Okay, so so if you're doubting, I'm telling you, you have to go and be true to yourself. Ace of Swords. It's almost like a letter came, information came that changed your situation. It's like, oh, I really have to get my act together. Seven of Hearts. A degree of confusion. Neptune is an aspect. So things may have, and this is actually Venus in Scorpio, by the way. Seven of Cups. So it's kind of like, it may take some time to come to terms with what you have to do. Because I think some of it has to be a bit intense. Okay. And I don't think you want to. And then we have Ace of Pentacles, new financial. You're going to make a big move, Libra, a financial move of some kind. In some way, it's going to be, how do I say this? Autonomous from a group in which you're a part of. So you're a part of a group that assumes everybody works harmoniously together. But here you are making a change. Two aces signify change of home or change of work. So if this sounds like you might be coming to terms with the fact that you're going to make a big change. And I think it's going to shock people. But I think when you sit with yourself, when you're true to you, when it's not against anyone specifically, it's really about bringing awareness of what's good for yourself. And the fortunate thing is that you're going to be doing that during Scorpio season when the sun is in Scorpio, and that's going to help you a lot. Okay, so next message is Scorpio. Speaking of the devil, sun, moon, and rising Scorpio, let's see, what is this all about? Okay, I'm going to peek at the... Hi, everyone. Oh, wow, so many people watching. Hi, everybody. Make sure to like. And when this posts, leave me a comment. When you leave a comment, you're telling the algorithm to send you my next video. So some of my videos get filmed for public and then they're saved for members only. But I do try to make it at least one time available for everyone. So if you have your notifications turned on for my channel, then you can come join us live if you're not a member. If you're a member, you're fine. But if you're not a member, maybe that's what you want to do. Okay, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. I took a little break. That's been intense. If you haven't noticed, I've been going really like intense through these signs, wanting to get a good answer. I love this energy. Just now, don't start conspiracy theories that I'm Illuminati or something, but I do. My conspiracy theory is that when they do this, I think they're referencing this. I think there's like I don't know what the root of this is, and I don't know like triangles, like I haven't done like the conspiracy theory deep dive, but my assumption is this is actually the Grand Trine that they're referring to. So somewhere back in history, because the astrologers and stuff back in history, they would like mysticize astrology and make it like, you cannot know, I am the gatekeeper. It was gatekept, right? And so there's a lot of mysteries in the world with people basically gatekeeping astrology and making it seem like it is wonderful, it is magical, but they sort of like use that to elevate, to make themselves like, I have the secret knowledge, the secrets. So at some point, maybe they were aware of the Grand Trine energy, and then they were gatekeeping and just kind of like virtue signaling or whatever else. And this became this, as this symbol. And we would use terms like it's a mystical symbol. It's like a special symbol. It's all this stuff. And so about astrology in general, they would mysticize it, but without giving people access to like actually what's going on astrologically. And so this gave them power and leverage in certain circles. So I think that the mythology became the symbol, became, that's what they're talking about when they're talking about Illuminati. There's a lot of that in all religions, especially Western religions. Connection to astrology, right? Okay, I'm done my sidebar. I took a break. My brain took a break. Let's keep going. Hi, Scorpio. Let's take a look at your transit. So we have this opposition in your first house. You're about to have like a really nice sequence leading into your birthday. So happy birthday, you guys. You have Uranus opposition Venus in 7th and 1st house. And then we have the Mars-Pluto opposition, which will really amplify or like come into itself at the end of October. That one, I think, it's still harmonious, but it's not, how do I say this? It opens the door to some other energies that we'll talk about later. One thing that I'm getting from this chart for you, Scorpio, is that there are relationships, or there's a relationship in which you are challenged because this person is a different type of person than what you know. And I think that there's like an arc of appreciating them for what they are. And so that's Uranus in the 7th house. And with Venus in opposition to Uranus right now, I think there's like a big learning opportunity from the people around you, especially the people who challenge you or the people who are unlike you in some way. So like different than, you know, what you are normally around. There's someone who you like, but their way of doing things is difficult for you to understand. They have a different way of doing things. But it's been like an arc of rejection, of hatred or frustration. And now I think that there's like an energy of deeply accepting who this person is and what they're about and appreciating them and learning a life lesson from that. It could be romantic. There could be like an awareness of love here as well for some of you. But it's more about deep appreciation. This person is meant to change you. This person is meant to broaden your horizons. And it's a very good energy. A lot is happening for you behind in the subconscious, which is here. A lot is happening in Libra in the subconscious for you. But it's almost like at the surface. This isn't like, it's deep, but it's not so deep. And so these transits here, I think a lot is becoming visible to you about what your values are, about what's important. You're getting clarity of vision about who you want to be and who you want around yourself. And I'm thinking that some of it is different than who has been around you and how you've been. So allow yourself the process to change. Allow yourself the process to be a different person. And everybody has the right to change at any time. So if some of you have experienced a large degree of exhaustion from living your life in a way that wasn't in alignment with what you want. And now you've maybe rested or you're coming into some rest. And this relationship that's a challenge, it could be a romantic or a platonic relationship, it could be a work relationship, challenges you and makes you rethink things. That motivates you to make a change in the world. There's something about your life that's getting in your way. And that's reflected by the way you've accepted who you are and your environment. And by that opposition between Pluto and Mars in November, late October, you are going to feel a deep passion to change the outside of what you're living, okay? So right now you're having this awareness of what you actually value. That's changing. That may change who you are. Like suddenly you're like, I'm wasting my time doing this. I have to do this instead, or change of values. And then at the end of the month, there's something that's sucking your energy, the way you live your life, the way you are. It's hurting your energy. and you're going to make a bold move at the end of the month to do something different. You suddenly recognize that it's drawing the energy out of you, and you make a bold move to change. Radical change for Scorpio, I would say. So we have, what is this? Oh, this is the Leo card, Strength. And then we have the Mars retrograde through Leo and Cancer, so that tracks. You're going to challenge your outside world. I'm saving some of the comments for when we talk about Mars retrograde, because that's going to be unique in itself. We have the Shadow, which is the Devil. And then, which is Capricorn right here. A lot of it is a response to where you are from or to who you are. And then we have you're going to, these are all higher arcana cards. You're entering a big rebuttal phase. You're rewriting your own narrative, and this person who challenged you so much, this person who awoke you, it could be several people. You could be around people that are just annoying, basically, and then you realize that they're wonderful. So can't think of a movie with that story arc, but it's something like that. And so you've been awoken, and then there's a second path here for you, and that's towards the end of the month, in which you become impatient with, you just see how something's dysfunctional in a big way in your life. Something you probably choose to do, or something that you do on autopilot without realizing that it's not helpful. And the Magician, you're going to make big moves. Remember what I said, though. For you, this is really important. The minor grand trine sextile off of Venus, Neptune, and Pluto in the midpoint. Remember what I said in the astrology part about confusion or delusion? You guys are sensitive to this because you're dealing with deep stuff here with Pluto. So you can almost gaslight yourself or confuse yourself and then react in a big way and overshoot something. So if you are feeling the urge to apply a lot of force to change something, make sure that you sit with what you're doing with some very clear thinking, okay? So really ask yourself if that's what you want. Okay, let's see the next message. Wow. So we have Gemini next, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's take a look at Gemini energy. It's much better than talking about Chiron, isn't it? Okay, so don't mind if I do. Okay, so we have, hi Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So you have right now like a strong opposition on your ascendant-descendant axis, right at the descendant. Suddenly someone, this could be in your family, so it could be not romantic. Suddenly there's a deep desire towards someone. There's, you are likely to take a chance towards someone you love, and someone, like a deep admiration is here. That's really beautiful. I think that you see somebody's place in your life. So you see someone as being like, 4 legs on the table, being one of the legs. The table doesn't work without that extra leg. So you see someone as completely in synchronicity with, like, do you know what I mean? Like suddenly having someone in your life, in your family, becomes paramount. You recognize their importance in your place. And this is a very important intuition to follow if you are having that. It could be romantic, but it could be like a family member. Geminis have had a lot of learning lessons with regard to family dynamics, betrayals by family since 2019. And so you guys have had very brutal lessons with family, heartbreak and stuff like that, like really heartbreaking stuff with family. And so this realization is a mirror of that in some way. And it's a very important thing for you to pay attention to and make decisions about. So don't ignore it. You feel it, so don't push it down or don't push it away. Then as the month progresses and Mercury moves into this position, it is likely some of you are going to make a powerful risk based off the decisions you've observed about family, resources, how you share your resources. And some of you may make certain decisions that enmesh you energetically with family members. So I'll be more specific. In 2019 through 2022, many Geminis went through financial betrayals with family members, where shared resources were a real contentious issue. People stealing, wheeling, and dealing in situations where primary family members, people that they truly cared about. And this energy is almost a confirmation of your fidelity or your solidarity with your family, despite of these betrayals. So despite the fact that maybe not the same people, but it's like your commitment to family, you know, I'm not going to take money from you. I'm going to engage, like it's an energetic thing. It's not, it's a symbol, and it's your ode. It's like your commitment to them, whatever that dynamic is. And under the Mars-Pluto opposition, it looks like you're making a bold move to support the family as a whole. It's like a huge, you know, when people commit themselves to something, and it's interesting because I think it's in spite of those previous experiences that would realistically make a person pull away from making such commitments or express such trust. But there's a different energy here. There's a different understanding. And there's a principle here that you're following. You're following your own principle and a value here. And so it's likely you're taking a step in a direction that it's not the same type of situation as 2019, 2020. It's the value of, it's like, this is what matters within family. You putting your money where your mouth is and where your values are in terms of family. Very powerful gesture. And I think in some ways you're already understanding what that is. It's like you understand, like, bad things happen and there's more, how do I say this? Be the good in the world. That's what it kind of plays out as. So we have the devil, right? We're right in the 8th house, right? With Capricorn. See, I told you, it's kind of like, how do I say this? It's kind of like you screaming out into the universe, like, this is who I am. It's like a chess move, you know? But it's not like for outward physical things. Like, I'm going to do this and going to get this out. This is metaphysical. This is like, this is how energy flows. I won't be surprised if we don't get the Magician. 9 of Angels, 9 of Swords. Yeah, that's the betrayal. In spite of the betrayal, you're not, you know, what is the Marcus Aurelius? The best thing you can do is be unlike your enemy. So whoever hurt you in this way, you're acting in this is the hurt. You're defiant and you're like, I'm not going to be like that. And then we have the Sagittarian card of acceptance. Maybe not the Magician, but this is a nice card of a similar energy. And I prefer this because honestly, as I've told you guys before, this opposition between Mars and Pluto can be like too abrupt, and you want to go slow, right? So this is slow. Sagittarius is your 7th house. When Venus enters Sagittarius, she'll be in your 7th house opposite your Jupiter in your 1st house. We're going to talk about that next. We talked about this in the Jupiter retrograde video. You guys might want to watch that. But yeah, it's almost like a response to, you know, a response to evil, a healthy response to evil. Be unlike your enemy. And this doesn't have to be a person. It could be like the situation you were in, right? I'm not going to be like them. I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to let that. The worst thing about bad situations is that they ruin people. And then those people behave in bad ways. And the real loss is of the potential of the person. The person loses themselves, right? That's what I'm seeing. It's like you saying, no, I'm not going to be that energy. Okay, so Aries is next, sun, moon, and rising. Ooh, Gemini's reading today felt like a Pisces reading. I got weird. Okay, so Aries, sun, moon, and rising. You're not last today, Aries. Hi. So, okay, so let's take a look at your astrology, and then we'll pull some cards to kind of center that. So we have Uranus opposition of Venus. Again, you're getting that second house, 8th house dynamic. And then you have later on at the end of October, Pluto and Mars in Cancer. Well, I feel as though there's a really... So a lot of your guys' readings are going to overlap a little bit because there's so many houses activated by this. So this is kind of similar to Gemini, but different. For Aries, what I think is happening is that there's this, for a while now, Aries, it's become clear where you want to put your trust into. There's a situation in your life where you know it's clear that you will go in this direction. And this direction is contingent on other people that you love. So it's like making decisions to be in alignment with the people that you love and be kind of radical with your own resources to do it. This is almost like risking your own taking a chance for people you love. This could be like a partner. This could be other family members, but it's already established in your life. You already know what's going on. There's people that you're acting on behalf of that you love, and it feels natural to do so. So this Grand Trine and this Kite at the beginning or middle of October is really a cementing or a confirmation of this. When Mercury moves into this position, it's likely that there will be some kind of documentation or confirmation of this, making it real even further. So a decision is being made under the Venus one, and when Mercury transits this position, it's like a bold decision or a bold step is made in writing, some type of confirmation. Now with Pluto and Mars here, I think that you're going through personal changes at home with Mars here. And although this may be frustrating for your outwardly life because it's demanding, you can't give your outside life the attention that you want because there are more important things at home that are demanding your attention. But these are in harmony with Mars and Venus. So it's like the things close to home. How do I say this? Your outside world doesn't like the decisions you're making, but it feels natural and it is the right path for you to focus on the people you care about at this time and your family. And so there's like an energetic alignment that of disappointing the outside world and being defiant of what it demands from you. Like, think kids in a classroom and a teacher has to draw the line and say, no kids, I can't give you any more than this because I have to go home and feed my own kids, that kind of thing. It's this boundary that you're saying no to the outside world, and the outside world is like a classroom full of screaming kids, and you're setting your intention or initiating towards like the home. It's very nice. It's very nice. It's almost like, yeah, it's like you have to let the group down in order to make primary relationships satisfy. And by satisfying your primary relationships, you're actually satisfying yourself. So that's in alignment. It's really helpful. Let's see what else. Oh, because you guys get the reading. Yeah, I always forget. Aries is like the general chart. So you guys, I've been looking at your chart all day. Um, I'm just seeing what else. I think in some ways Aries is the most intuitive out of everyone at this time. And I don't think you should trust I don't think you should not trust your intuition at this time about situations. I think you're getting like I think you're spot on, although I think you may doubt yourself. Like, what am I actually thinking? Like, you may be questioning your intuition, but your intuition's not wrong. And ultimately, even though now you feel like you're taking risks with money and things like that, I think ultimately it will turn out to be financially it's a good thing. So it's almost like you're getting bullied by the outside world to fill a role for them. These are strangers, and you're choosing the people that you care about, and you're worried that there's a financial implication for this. And maybe in the short to middle term there will be, but ultimately this is the very clearly the right path. You guys know how I read, where I'm very like hesitant to tell people which way to go and all of that stuff. Sometimes it's very clear, and in this case it's very clear, like go with your family. Here's some cards. We have the Sun, very beautiful card, blessings. Okay. I just see this classroom of screaming kids and Aries is being like, no, I gotta go. We have the Tower. It's almost like I could see you sitting on a sunny beach, the sunset, and you're like, no, I gotta go. I have priorities. I gotta go make dinner. And you're experiencing stress. So, but it's like you're making the hard choice, Aries, and it's gonna lead to a good outcome. So, yeah. I think at the end of the month, you're gonna see, how do I say this? The decisions you make you're gonna hear the screaming kids at the end of the month demanding your attention. But I think that that's going to play itself out. And how do I say this? You're in a situation where you've accommodated the outside world. So the outside world is how do I say this? The outside world is, has been conditioned, or, you know how we teach people how to treat us? So you've basically taught the outside world to treat you a certain way. And so it's not that, like, it's not bad, but basically they're doing that because they're accustomed to treating you that way. And so you're just challenging that pattern. So it's fine. It feels a little wonky to say no, because like maybe you work in the hospitality industry and you have to say no, but it's okay. They'll accept it. It's just the response you're getting is because they're used to being so conciliatory. So drawing a firm line here, Aries. Okay, let's see the next sign. So we have Virgo next. Hey Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Get ready because they've been doozies so far. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, so we have Uranus in the 9th house, Venus in the 3rd, and then we have Mars in the 11th and Pluto in the 5th. So first of all, we're focusing on Uranus and Venus. Okay, Virgos, you become aware of something in the world. You become aware of something in the world. Like how do I say this? You become aware of something new in the world. Hold on one sec, guys. Sorry, guys. Somebody was warning me that there's a bear around here. So I need to be careful. That's my world. Okay. So there's let me get back on track. It's always when I'm live or something. Anyway, so we were talking about Uranus. There's information from the outside world, Virgo. I'm a Virgo, so there's my information. New information coming in. Synchronicity, hey? About like a new idea or a new type of system that in some way it's like a new opportunity or something new you become aware of. And Venus in this position is about you sort of going back home or going to your going to a your private space to work through the idea. So let's say it's work related or a topic that you're interested about, and you find like a new system and you go home to sort of learn more about it and workshop or look into it more. So the outside world is presenting you with some kind of new information, and you're taking it back home to work through it and to look through it in some way. So that's the energy right now. For me, it's a bear. That's so funny that it happened at literally the same time as I was explaining that. So it could be a bear. So that means I have to like mind myself. There's berries and stuff around here and apples. So I guess the bears come looking for them before it's that time of year. The salmon is kind of finishing up, and so they're in town looking around. But anyway, this is funny. So the second energy is the Mars-Pluto opposition. And so this will come into focus more when Mercury enters the position where Venus is now. But anyway, so yeah, we have an energy of, how do I say this? There could be people that you know that come into focus more as you shift priorities, Virgo, this month. I really feel as though there's an emphasis on like-minded relationships, and it's really important to follow your truth. It's strongly connected to an interest in something new. So pursue that interest, whatever it is, and do a deep dive, go research about it or go find more information on the topic, look into it more. It looks as though something of interest is coming on your radar and you're supposed to follow that through, and there will be people who in some way complement that journey. But at first it's about you sort of hunkering down and looking at things in greater detail. And it's resonant for you, Virgo, for a very specific reason. This means that you're attracted to it because of some core value or core belief that you like, how do I say this? You're drawn to this topic because of something that is really key to you. It's something that is really key to you, something that is intrinsically, tied to who you are as a person. Maybe childhood experiences or something like that. So think of, Virgo, like what defines you as a person, the really core stuff. That thing that's sparking your interest is attached to that in some way. So it's a really cool thing for you to look into. I think so. And I think that I also have a feeling that there's an alignment with friends or connections, but only in a little bit. For now, you have to look at that topic a bit closer. Okay? So, you got cards jumping out. Let's see. So we have a Page of Wands, and then we have a Nine of Pentacles. someone could be providing you a way through which to achieve something. And then we have a Queen of Hearts. This could be the friend, because it's water sign energy and it's in your 11th house. Virgos have such nice friends because our 11th house is Cancer, where Mars is. So there's someone with whom you find alignment on this topic. I know it's not like an exciting thing, but it's actually a really cool reading in my opinion. For me, it's a bear. So don't go out, Virgo. Stay at Veroosh. Stay at home. That could be one iteration. It's a good example, but it's more likely that there, and I do know my topic of interest. It could be a couple different things, but there's a topic of interest and you're going to want to kind of withdraw and focus on that topic. And then out of that comes a new friendship or a new alignment or someone with whom to share in this interest. So it's exciting. And yeah, hopefully you will have a good time. Okay, so next sign. I think the sun went behind the clouds. This isn't too dark for you guys, is it? Oh, we have 4 more. Okay. I felt like I was going really fast, and then I felt like I was going really slow. So I was like, at first I was happy because I was like, this is efficient, and then it got slow. Okay, Cancer. Hi, Cancer. Let's take a look at your chart. But so far, the readings are great. Yeah. Lots of people still watching. Hi, and 2 new members. Welcome. That's great. I'll have a new member video out soon, but we did a ton at the beginning of October. We really got it done. So this is a good time to become a member because I did like, how many? 6 videos at the beginning of the month to catch up. So, and there's 3 all sign videos and 3 collective ones. Okay, so Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's take a look at what's going on in your chart. So for you, one of the angles is just like Virgo in a different direction, right? Venus, Uranus in the 11th and 5th house, and then Mars and Pluto in the 1st and 7th house. Virgo, Cancer, very similar energy to Virgo, maybe less focused on like a new idea or something that sparks your attention, more focused on really enjoying time with friends. People are like, it's like a whole new dynamic with friends that's really exciting, it looks like. And by the end of the month, it looks as though, I think if you're still tied up in a relationship matter with someone who's overbearing, Cancer, this month you may be really putting a stop to it. So you might be letting someone down in a very affirmative way. Like you may be assertive in this situation. Like, no more of this. You can't have any more of this. This is enough. Okay? So you're putting your foot down in a situation. And then overall, I do get the sense that you're very happy in your friendships and relationships. I feel like this is a very fulfilling time for you in relation to other people. I feel like people are like really reflecting. They're really reflecting like what your desires are in terms of the company you keep and in terms of who you want around yourself. And your higher principles are being expressed through those relationships. So what I'm saying is like you're just in nice company this month. And I think that that's essentially what Cancer really wanted or needed for a longer period of time. So I feel like there's like affirmation of this I feel like you're getting affirmation of what you truly desire. Okay, so let's see the next 3 cards. So we have the 9 of Trees, the 9 of Pentacles. Is 9 of Trees 9 of Wands? I'll just read it as 9 of Pentacles. And then we have the Page of Stars. Yeah, that's the Wands. I second guessed myself. And then 8 of Trees, 8 of Pentacles. I just feel like you have a very safe and good friendship around you, or maybe several friends that they're nice in the way that you want them to be nice. They're like just nice people. I feel like you share, and with that comes productivity, like financial productivity. I think the person you're saying no to is likely someone who is chaotic. And I think your desire for tranquility and good friendship and good naturedness is really coming through over the next month. I think it's really hard when you really want a certain type of friend, like someone who's considerate or someone who's considerate or like, there's certain qualities you want. Because sometimes you can't like demand that from people, and you get what you get with people. So it's a really nice feeling, I think, when you have the kind of company that you really want. And that makes it much easier for you to say no to the wrong people, right? And this 8 of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy, I picked Virgo right before this one. I don't know if you guys watched it, but there was a lot in Virgo about friendship as well. Very similar dynamic. And for some of you Cancers, this is going to be a Virgo. I think so. The 9 of Pentacles is Mercury in Virgo, and this is Sun in Virgo. So it doesn't have to be for every single one. It's just, where to look. It looks like a practical friendship. How do I say this? If you think about things, and I'm not suggesting anybody has this issue, but like if you think of like nervous system dysregulation, like people who experience that, and for people like that, like a friend who's just really relaxed and chill, who doesn't trigger the nervous system, is like a blessing. This is what it looks like. Like a person who, I'm not saying you have a nervous system issue. That's not an astrological thing. That's a medical thing. But I'm just getting the vibe, like someone who's just really gentle and a nice energy. Someone who doesn't disrupt your equilibrium and your balance. So I'm happy for you, Cancer, and lean into that friendship and enjoy that time you have with them. Let's see the next message. Okay, so next message is Aquarius. Oh yeah, I have Pisces left. Yay! This is from Nick Mason and Nick Mason. This is the last time I'll make this joke, maybe, but it's pretty close. Okay, so this is for all Aquarians, Sun, Moon, and Rising. A lot of you guys were really happy with my prediction that things are going to get better. So I'm going to reaffirm that, yes, things are getting better for you guys. When like with certain transits, like Pisces 7th house, Pluto, right? I didn't like, it's been a huge, terrible transit. Not terrible, but it's been an intense transit for Cancer placement people. When you have like a 14-year transit, you don't want to scare people or like hurt them that that's what's happening. So you want to be gentle. And you were in a similar dynamic where for an extended period of time, you had Pluto in your 12th house. It's not the end of the world, but you're probably glad it's over, right? And so you have this transit happening in November, but we're not talking about Pluto right now. We're talking about Venus and Uranus mostly, and then reflecting on how that will affect Mars and Pluto at the end of the month. So I think some of you are prone to change your living environment, Aquarius, for an aspiration that you want in the world. I think you're very active this month in trying to claim something yours in the outside world. So going after what you desire, you have like a clear vision of what you want for yourself. And the timing of this is actually really good because the South Node is finishing its transit of your 9th house and the Sun is about to enter your 1st house. Mars is about to enter into the 7th house. So anything to do with like seeking a new job, changing your environment, you're in the right time to start it in October. So you should definitely pursue that desire, pursue what you want. And financially, this is going to be a really good transit for you where you make things happen. And my suggestion here is you should pursue that now. I'm not saying later will be a bad time. It's that you can get a head start right now, even though it's not perfectly aligned yet for it. Your heart's in the right place in terms of going after what you want. And so that will ultimately play out, when it's time for it to play out in. So allow that whole situation to to allow yourself to be inspired. And if you're having visions of what you want out of the world, Aquarius, this is the time to put that in motion. There may be a period of time, let's say 2 or 3 months, in which you will not get a lot of headway, or there will be some changes and transformation in order to achieve it. So you won't get everything up front, but you'll get a good start. And when it's actually happening, when those transits switch at the beginning of January 2025, you can pedal to the metal. You're on the Autobahn, baby. So you can just go as fast as you like. Okay, so I'm saying like this is your good time to start what you want. Where's Chiron for you? Chiron's in your third. Yeah, don't fall into like self-conscious patterns to do with like, how do I say this? If you were held back early on in life by bad ideologies and bad thoughts, like people teaching you bad ways of thinking about things, try to make sure that those things are not affecting you. Okay, let's see. So we have the Lovers. And then we have the Queen of Trees, Queen of Pentacles. And then we have the Empress. Okay. Well, honestly, Aquarius, some of you, the desire is to be a mother or have a mother in your life. So this could be, when I say have a mother, I'm trying to be neutral in my language, right? Like, if you're not going to be the mother, then maybe somebody else will. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe your mother could be an inspiration as well, of like going after something like your heart's. I love this transit so much. It's a grand water trine. Your heart's opening up. Your heart's in the right place. And despite the fact that there's some self-consciousness with regard to Chiron, we're all experiencing it. There's a big drive towards getting aspirationally what we want. And for some of you, this is actually the Lovers, Queen of Trees, which is Queen of Pentacles, and the Empress. This is signifying mother, wife energy, your mother also. So not necessarily having children, but also towards your mother. There's a deep connection with like a very practical, loving connection. And the mystic rectangle is in, where is it? Because I've been going around the chart. Where are you? So the mystic rectangle is, oh, there it is. There it is. It's the, there's a couple because of that air-earth grand trine with the south node, but I was trying to focus on the water one. So there is a mystic rectangle between water and earth here. And so we have this energy of like, it's a very earthy energy of what your true desires are. So, I mean, if it means settle down, then settle down, Aquarius, if this is what you truly want. If there's love knocking on your door and you want to open the door, then open it. And so yeah, it's a very beautiful energy. Go after your passion. The world inspires you here over the next 3 weeks. The world inspires you. Don't doubt that inspiration. You can definitely have it. Okay? So I like this for Aquarius. Very nice energy. Okay. So we have 3. Yeah. Next sign. It's getting a little dark, but I'm not going to play with it. I think the clouds came over. Yeah. The sun's still out, but okay, so Pisces. We've done a Aquarius Pisces double whammy twice now. I don't know if my nervous system can handle that, but we'll try. Okay, hi Pisces. I'm fine, I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's do your reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, Pisces. Okay, so we have Venus and Uranus in opposition in your 9th house and 3rd house, sorry. And then we have later on Mars-Pluto opposition at the end of the month. And that's forming a mystic rectangle, right? It's all in connected, and you get this intuition in your 1st house. So you sort of don't need a reading because you probably already know everything that's going on. All I can say is, yeah, everything that you're seeing about the situation is true and accurate. Something about how you've learned to live from early on in your life is really coming into focus, or like it's informing your decisions now, Pisces. So lessons that you've learned throughout your life are informing your decisions moving forward. Okay, so that's exciting, and that's happening now, and so you should pursue that. You know, there's people who become masters at things because they study or they learn a lot. But there are people who become masters at things through lived experiences. And I think what we're talking about here is lived experiences informing the direction that you need to go. So there's something that is on the horizon for you that you really want to pursue. There's something on the horizon that you really want to pursue, and it's being informed by things you have seen. And in those things that you have seen, your lived experiences, you saw them through a different lens, a different perspective. So what I'm saying by that is you had certain life experiences, but you saw them in the way you saw them, not the way the world was wanting you to see them. And those memories, through your own perspective, are informing your decisions now. So it's good if in the past you had life experiences and you had your own opinions about them, because those opinions are now informing the direction you need to go. And later on with Mars and Pluto, I do feel as though you're going through an energy in which friends or outside influences will try to influence you or put pressure on you in some way. And I think that they're going to put pressure on you in some way. And I think that your goal right now is to really stick true to yourself. Okay? So don't allow those outside forces hold you back from really being true to you. Okay? And really go after. And I think that if the situation arises that you cave and you go along with what other people want as opposed to what you want at this time, that Mars retrograde is going to be a hard lesson. So if you go along with like the advice or the influence of other people during Mars retrograde, that's not gonna work. Okay, so we have King of Wands, Sag, Leo, or Aries, and then we have Queen of Pentacles, Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn, and then we have the Four of Pentacles, which is, I think, Sun or Mars in Capricorn. There's definitely stability, Pisces, that you are building or that you assert in your life through this time. And it's a very a lot of the messages are like, stay true to you, trust your vision. You know, this is the whole energy of the Grand Water Trine. And so this is also true. If you stick true to what you've seen, Uranus on the South Node here, not South Node, on the IC, right? This energy here, then you are going to build stability in the direction. So the answer, and I've seen this so much in my life, the lessons that I was told how to interpret life by other people, oftentimes in my lived experience, I'm not going to say how long, but I've often found that my reliance on my perception is superior to the narratives of the outside world. Not that I don't like outside feedback, but to find success, you have to be really good at listening to yourself. So when I see that, I feel like that's your strategy, winning strategy. Look back on those past experiences, and these are big experiences because they're down here. Look back on those experiences, huge life moments. Think about them as milestones. So look back on those milestones. What were your lessons? Maybe look back to the dates I gave you. Maybe those align. Especially the Uranus ones, right? and look at those milestones and see how you can apply them. You're building great stability, Pisces, in a particular direction, but you have to listen to yourself. And there's great vision. I do feel as though there is good support around you. And I do feel that there is support around you that is solid, continuous, who aligns with your purpose and supports you to the destination that you want to go. So you have solid backing, and just trust your vision and move forward with your vision. Okay? Sun, moon, and rising. I don't know why I said that. Just thought I'd throw it in. Okay, that wasn't too weird at all. Okay, so next sign, last. So Sagittarius, Taurus is last but not least. Okay, so Sag, sun, moon, and rising. Let's see your astrology for this beautiful series of transits. Do you guys think they're beautiful? I think they're beautiful. So let me know if you guys have questions about any of them. And since they cover the next 3 weeks or so, basically we can deep dive into something. If you guys leave me comments and say, Veroosh, let's talk about that, I'll be like, okay. So let's take a look at your transits. There's a situation that was challenging for you, Sagittarius, and I don't like the whole thing, like, what doesn't break us makes us stronger. I just think that's patronizing, because like people, like, victims are victims, right? And I'm not minimizing that. There's something that's coming out from past experiences. Having said that, that is like a strong quality to your character through a stress situation that you have recently experienced. And so there's something about you that is emerging at this time. And it's very, like, how do I say this? An adaptive way of dealing with the world. So a tough situation you've recently gone through has led you to go through a personal adjustment that makes you more strong or more able to contend with or confront difficult situations. And so let's see. There's like a situation involving money that will come up towards the end of the month. And it might be, how do I say, the closing of a bigger matter. So there's a dynamic involving money between you and others that's playing out right now, Sagittarius. And there's something to do with that it's going to be not like it is the end of the road with regard to something. So you're going to see an outcome to something, financial outcome, or how do I say this? Like something's in limbo between yourself and other people with money. And I think that there's going to be a very fast moving decision at the end of the month to do with that. And in some way, it's going to be closure to that whole ongoing dynamic that's been going on for a long time. And the fact it hadn't been decided is actually stunting your growth. So the fact that it will be decided by the end of the month will actually allow you to like have some closure and be ready to move on. Okay, so let's see the next cards. So I have the moon, which is Pisces, right? And so that's the 4th house. It may be a family financial matter where certain, like, how do I say this? Division of assets or something. 7 of trees, 7 of pentacles. And then we have the 2 of trees, 2 of pentacles. So out of the situation, and everybody's going to be different, but it does seem as though, how do I say this? You don't win the lottery with this one. Let's just put it that way. but it's like a slow, steady progress. And the win here isn't the amount of money or resources, but it's in the fact that this situation gets taken off the table. I strongly feel like this situation has been draining your autonomy and your ability to set the path for yourself. And it being removed is actually freeing you to be in alignment with what's true to you. So something had you stunted because you love people or because you love someone, and it's been really a detriment to your well-being. And so the fact that it's now finally settled and the matter is closed will allow you to like make progress again, start moving forward. And I think the forward progress is going to be slow at first, but then it's going to pick up to a much faster pace, maybe over the next 3 months when Mars is retrograde in Leo and Cancer. So just, you know. Okay, so last but not least is Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I love the colors here. I love how the colors sometimes change. Sometimes it's annoying, but sometimes it's like, oh, this is better than what it was. It's a little dark now, but I'm not going to play with it anymore. It's the last sign. Sorry, Taurus. But I do think like it has the richer color. I want to show you guys my shirt since we're talking to Taurus. So this is Lululemon. This is vintage Lululemon. They used to make clothes that were like just sample. Just they were testing different like cuts of clothes, and so it was in Vancouver, and so I would buy stuff. This is like a long time ago from them, and so this was like a line that I don't think they ever actually made. And so the cool thing about this, speaking of color, is that this isn't its original color. It's like bamboo something, and it's just sort of survived. You know how certain things sort of survive and you kind of like them so you never get rid of them. And so this is my shirt that turned out to be a dress. As you can see, it's very long, and I dyed it myself. This is the color I dyed it, and it's been like it's so nice. It like brought life back into it. So it's like it's pretty close to the color you're seeing in the video. So anyway, so yeah, I really like my shirt. That's why I've been having fun reading with you guys today. I'm proud of my dye job. I thought Tauruses would appreciate because you guys like beautiful things. Actually, I might actually turn up. Is the light bad? No, let's just get through the reading. Okay, so we have Uranus and Venus in opposition. Well, a relationship could be challenging you to change yourself through this aspect. You could be very much drawn towards someone. There could be very strong feelings of love towards your partner or to someone you very care about, which is challenging you to change the way you are. So this is a pattern that had been likely ongoing since 2018 even, but now it's going to pick up. The pace is going to get very fast, and it doesn't have to be the same thing since 2018, but the pattern of your desire for someone you care a lot about, challenges you directly. It's a very nice energy. It's like, you know, when someone makes you a better person, this is the energy here. And that's happening right now. Since the 8th of October, I would be paying attention to it. And it's going to lead up to another energy, which is between Pluto and Mars. And that's in your 3rd house. There's something in the outside world that is going to prompt you to change your immediate environment. What I mean by that is I'm just getting downloads, sorry. So there's a, how do I say this? There's a systemic thing in the outside world that demands certain things of you. You're dealing with a system, a social system, whatever else. And it's gotten restrictive. There's rules or regulations that are limiting your abilities to be free in the outside world. It's like censorship stuff, or how like suddenly like you can't do this, that, and the other, right? And that's causing you to go back to the drawing board at the end of the month and change something close to home. This could be actually frustration with the outside world, such as rules or regulations. I know this is happening in Canada all over the place, where there's like all these regulations that restrict people's freedom to choose different things. And so I'm not making a huge political statement. It's just we're getting very like legislative here. And so many people feel that that's an encroachment on their freedom. It's like there's a rule for everything. This is what this is feeling like. Like you're feeling like the outside world is threatening. The outside world is like demanding, and covertly it's trying to restrict your freedom. And you're like, I just want to be a bull in the grass kind of thing. I have this video, I'll post it on Instagram, of cows are so funny when they're happy. They just like jump around. It's so cute. So that's what I have. You just want to be a cow in the grass jumping around in the sunshine, and somebody's restricting you or something's restricting you. And so so the energy is on Mars in the 3rd house. And this can actually be a radical change. Remember what I said in the astrology part in the beginning? Because it's a Pluto thing, be careful of being overly reactive if you're feeling very threatened or uncomfortable with these rules that are happening. Which means don't make too many abrupt decisions. And if you're about to make an abrupt decision and change something about your life, this is like moving to a different town because like the rules in one town are so terrible, like it's insufferable. Something like that. If you're going to make a decision like that, sit really closely with your options and see if you really want to. There's an element of delusion here in which a lot of pressure can prompt people to make abrupt choices that are not ultimately good for them. So that's why I'm saying make sure that if you're making big decisions, there's also a great passion in your heart here, being born to get more of what you want out of life. And it can be sparked through love in a relationship and just a real pressing desire to get the type of environment in your life that will allow you to, I'm not saying be a total contrarian, right? I'm saying like suddenly the outside world, the way that the government and like all these things work is frustrating and restrictive for you. And you're like, I can't live like this. There's a YouTuber who went to like Costa Rica or something because she's from Australia and she like moved to like somewhere else to live on a farm because she's like, I'm done with this. And I think she's still doing it. I saw her video recently. So, it's like, that's the kind of thing I'm describing. But before you sell everything off and change your life, Taurus, be careful with the decisions you make, because your frustration can be like diluted with, and especially if friends are influencing you to do that, make that change. Be very careful. Make sure that that's what you truly want. So just sit with that energy. So we have 9 of Hearts. Oh, it got so dark for you guys. Then we have the Last Judgment. It's not even sunset yet. So this is Pluto, again, in the top of the chart. Don't make decisions that you're going to be stuck with for a very long period of time. 4 of Pentacles. Yeah, there's that cautionary tale. So, or you may have resources in your pocket right now. And finally you get to achieve what you want. And you're like, I'm out of here. I'm ready to go. I think that you need to, this is like apply patience to the situation and be measured with your decision. Okay. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a long haul, but I got it through 2018. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks you guys so much for watching, and thank you members. Thanks to the 2 new members, or if you're members from before coming back, and we'll see you guys soon for another video. So now we know what the Grand Trine is. Okay, take care. Bye.